Okay, here are the steps to completing the square. The first step, you move all terms involving x to one side of the equation, everything else to the other side. Okay, there's also another thing that we need to do here. Okay, the coefficient of x squared needs to be 1. So add that in. Okay, the coefficient of x squared needs to be 1. So if it's not 1, okay, then what you need to do is somehow adjust the equation a bit so that it does become 1. Take half of the x term, square it, and add to both sides. And then step 3, rewrite the side involving x and solve the equation. So we've got one additional step today, and that's the step I added right here. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Solve by completing the square. So you have negative 2x squared plus 36x minus 10 equals 24. So first things first, let's get everything involving x to one side of the equation, everything else to the other. So I'm going to want to go ahead and move the 10 over, correct?
Yeah.
So I end up getting negative 2x squared plus 36x equals what? 34. Now the step we just added said that the coefficient of x squared needs to be what? 1. What is it now? Negative 2. So I've got to get rid of that. So the easy way to get rid of that, let's divide by negative 2. What does it become now?
X squared
Minus
18x
equals
negative
17. Good. So then now here we are. We're at the same point we were yesterday. What do I do now? Half of the x term. So half of the 18, which is negative 9. I am going to do what with that negative 9? Square it, and I'm going to add it to both sides. Yep, so really what is negative 9 squared? 81. Good. So far so good. So then now I write this as a quantity squared. What quantity is squared?
X minus 9.
X minus 9 equals
64.
64. Good. Okay. So then now to solve this, what do I do? Square root. What is the most important thing to remember whenever I take the square root?
You gotta do the
Plus or minus. So I end up getting what on the left side?
X minus 9.
X minus 9 equals
Plus or minus 8.
plus or minus 8. To solve that, what do I do now?
Make it into two separate problems.
Yep, I'm first of all going to add 9. Oh, that's right. Never mind. We're going to make it into two separate problems. Okay, so the two separate problems that I'm going to make this into are x minus 9 equals what? 8, or okay. So far so good? So what does x equal over here? 17, good. What does x equal here? 1. So far so good? So we've got one additional step, and that's all we're doing today. One additional step. So let's go ahead and look at another problem. 3x squared minus 9x minus 3 equals 21. So I want you to do for me the very first step. Go ahead and do the very first step. What do I get on the very first step? I add 3. So I end up getting 3x squared minus 9x equals what? 24. Okay, you do the next step for me. What do you do on the next step? Divide by 3. Very good. So really, when I divide by 3, what do I get? X squared equals 8. Okay, now, What do I do now? Find half of negative 3. What's half of negative 3? Negative 1.5. I'm going to square it and add to both sides. What is 1.5 squared? 2.25. Very good. So then now on the left side, what do you get?
10.25.
X minus 1.5 squared equals, what do I get on the right side you were going to say, Nick?
10.25.
10.25. What do you do now? Square root. So I'm going to use the plus or minus. So I get x minus 1.5 equals what? What? Is that rounded? Let's round it to the nearest hundred. 2 decimal places is always a good rule of thumb.
3.20.
3.20. Okay, somebody else get 3.20? Okay. What do you do now? Make it into 2 separate equations. So x minus 1.5 equals 3.20, or x minus 1.5 equals negative 3.20. How do you solve the first one? You add 1.5. Right, so x equals 4.70. Very good. That's your first solution. What do you do on this next one? You add 1.5 again, but in order to add 1.5 there, you really subtract. Negative 1.7. Good. Now, the reason why we put negative 1.70 and 4.70 is we've indicated we've rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay, so I don't just want 4.7 and negative 1.7. If we're going to 2, you need to show me 2 decimal places. Questions? All right. Yeah.
Is there like a no solution?
Yes. The no solution happens if this number here, right here, is negative. So if you would have gotten like negative 10.5, you can't take the square root of that. It gives you an error. Okay? So when you try and take the square root of the negative number, it can't happen. That is your no solution case. So whenever you get a negative number. Now, that's not saying we can't take the square root of a negative number. That's just saying right now we don't have enough tools in our toolbox to be able to do that. You can take the square root of a negative number, and it's called by using use the imaginary number I to do that. Okay? But eventually, but not right now. Okay, so this one, this is the teamwork one. Okay, so, all right, I don't care who starts. First step, I need somebody to do the first step.
Easiest step. Darn it, I was gonna do it.
First step. Thanks, Flip. Okay, next one, hand off. I don't care who does it.
No.
Okay, let's go, next step. Somebody from that group back there, you're gonna be next, okay? Okay, hand off. I don't care who does it. Doesn't matter.
Be serious when it comes to that. Math is no
Oh,
joke.
just a second, just a second. What do you gotta do first? You forgot the one thing. No, yeah, no, we gotta add in number square. Okay, what's the number square root of this? Oh, okay. 2. There you go. There you go. Next group. Let's go over there. Okay, over there, next group.
And when I jump really high.
All right. Okay, you guys are going to be doing it next. Okay?
I was about to have,
That's
I,
2.5.
I knew that there.
Okay, next group. What do you got over there?
Does anybody know what that is? 3.9.
Oh, they got
No,
it.
or 1. 3.91.
Good job. Okay. Group here in the front.
Oh,
Next step.
I think Ethan really wants to finish it. He wanted to go. He said he wasn't gonna do it.
Okay, let's go. And x minus 2.5 equals
I'm gonna do that later.
3.91. There you go. So, okay.
Oh, I'm not done.
Yep,
Oh, I'm
yep,
done.
you're done. Okay, so there was the next step. What do we do next? What do I have to do next to both sides? Add 2.5. So let's go ahead and add 2.5. So my solution here will be what? Negative 1.41. There you go. Solution here when I add 2.5. What do I get here? 6.41. Okay, so negative 1.41 and 6.41. So this is going to be your task today. You've got to add a few problems. Okay, there you go, 24 through 30. Get them done.
Can you open the window?